Okay, thank you everybody for joining this learning series. This is a learning series between co-organized by Africa region and also ESMAP on how on the program called Electrify Africa, delivering Mission 300 faster and together. First, welcome to everybody joining here today. We have a representative from the government side, and also from ENEO, the power utility in Cameroon, partners, and also all the country teams based in various locations. So before we start, right, so today we're going to talk about the specific program in Cameroon to share lessons and the experience. And before we start, I would like to thank ESMAP for their great support through the Electrify Africa, where they provide the critical financing and also technical assistance for preparation and delivering of the Mission 300. The support from ESMAP is critical. And the objective of this learning series is really is to share progress on the Mission 300, facilitate the cross-country knowledge exchange, and also let's check provide the opportunity for reflections on the country-specific challenge that you are facing and how perhaps we can learn from today's topic from Cameroon to reflect how this could help even to tackle the challenges in different countries under different contexts. Particularly for today's topic, right? We're talking about innovative financing mechanism under the World Bank supported rural electricity access project for underserved region in Cameroon. This is a concrete example of how innovations in financing mechanism focusing on household connection cost could help accelerate, electrification and also achieve Mission 300 throughout the region, but also even go beyond region. From the region I worked before in East Asia, cost of household connection has always been one of the major constraints preventing people from even connecting to the grid nearby their house. So today, through this sharing of knowledge and experience, particularly lessons learned from the Cameroon project and the case study, we can see how this kind of issues can be tackled in the case of Cameroon. Then just some highlight of the result, right? Before we turn out to the details of the meeting, you see under this program, then about 1.6 million people has been provided access and connection to the grid, and then it's 1 year ahead of schedule. So this is fully consistent with the learning series where we're talking about Electrify Africa, how to achieve Mission 300 faster and also together, right? So before I go further detail, let me introduce the moderator, dear Ariana, who will introduce a little bit more details on the topics and also the presenters and the topics, right? Then back to you, dear Ariana. Thank you all for your participation.
Thank you so much, Jay, for those opening remarks and for setting the stage so clearly. Let me take a moment to introduce today's topic and walk you through how our session will unfold. So today we're going to dive into how the Revolving Fund exactly works, which is helping to overcome one of the biggest barriers to rural electrification, which is the upfront cost of household connections. And experience from other countries have shown that government support for these connection fees has been critical to reaching the last mile communities under rural electrification programs. And over the next hour, our speakers will walk us through how this fund works, what lessons have been learned, and the opportunities to scale this approach further in Cameroon. And before we dive in, just a few quick housekeeping points. The webinar will last about 60 minutes. All participants are going to be muted for the session, and you can submit questions anytime through the chat function. We encourage you to keep the questions short and focused, and we may not get to all the questions, but we'll prioritize those that are relevant to everyone. And the session is also being recorded, and all the materials will be shared after the webinar. Let me now briefly outline today's agenda. Following Jay's opening remarks, we will have presentations from Mr. Jude Fulfonkwa, Coordinator for the Rural Electricity Access Project for Underserved Regions, Nash Asen and Lawrence Bibaya from the World Bank. Afterwards, we will have a moderated panel discussion, which will be held with Mr. Jude Full and Mr. Rodolphe Bimbe, Director of Revenue Protection and Security at ENEO, and Alassane Agalasu and Kofi Kominon from the World Bank. Lastly, we will have an audience Q&A followed by brief closing remarks. And with that, I am delighted to invite our first speaker, Mr. Jude Full, to share his insights on the project. Mr. Full, the floor is yours.
Thank you, dear. Good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share the experience of the Rural Electricity Access Project for Underserved Regions in Cameroon. This project has a project owner, that is the Ministry of Water and Energy, and the delegated project owner, that is the Rural Electrification Agency of Cameroon. And the total cost of the project is $135 million shared into these different sources. $15 million is the counterpart funds from the government of Cameroon, and $120 million is what we obtained from the World Bank. And the project has 6 components: grid extension, off-grid electrification, the revolving fund, project management, and the 6 components concerns safeguard issues. Today, we are going to talk about the revolving fund, that is the 3rd component. And the amount of money for the 3rd component is $21.5 million. This is the situation as of date. And subsequently, the European Investment Bank will come in with 43 million euros, and the European Union will come in with 15.6 million euros. The Rural Electricity Access Project at a glance. This project is the first phase of the implementation of the Rural Electrification Master Plan that was elaborated in 2016. And the objective was to do 50,000 household connections yearly for 20 years. And this master plan was, in fact, aligned with the National Development Strategy document that targets to give electricity to everybody, to every household by 2030. And the objective of the development of the project is to increase access to electricity by 5% at the end of the project. The underserved regions in Cameroon, following the master plan studies, was identified as the far north Adamawa, east, northwest, and southwest regions. Who is eligible to benefit from the revolving fund? Any household that is situated less than 100 meters from the existing low voltage distribution line is eligible. And more focus is made on women and persons with disabilities. And if that household accepts to pay the 1,000 francs fee to belong to the revolving fund group, if the household commits to paying back the money we give to them as a loan within installmental rates with maximum of 6 months in the urban areas and 60 months in the rural areas. And we do it only for new connections, not for people who want to upgrade from single phase to 3-phase. And we signed a protocol with the composed national payment switch infrastructure to follow up the reimbursement of the loans we give to the houses to be able to pay for their connections. In Cameroon, the regulatory framework defines that in rural areas, when a house requests for a connection, they have maximum 15 days to have their connection done. In the towns, it is 5 days. Next slide. The key performance indicators of the implementation of the revolving fund. The revolving fund was expected to be launched in 2021, but due to some difficulties between signing of the agreement in 2019 and signing of the convention with ENEO that was done in July 2021, there were some difficulties. So the launch on the field was in October 2022. And from October 2022 to December 2022, only 177 houses were connected. At the beginning, we had as objectives to connect 163,000 houses to the low voltage grid. But when we really went into gear by December 2023, we had already attained the objective. So not to kill the momentum, we changed the objective from 163,000 to 234,000. The second objective of 234,000 was attained in January 2025. And then we had to fix another objective too that moved from 234,000 to 500,000. And as of the 30th of November 2025, we had realized 322,000 connections. Note has to be taken of the fact that we have done 322,000 connections, but we have collected 432 files from the houses. So there is a gap of 100,000 houses that are still waiting for their connections to be done. Since it is a revolving fund, 90% of the customers, the houses, have paid completely for their connections. That means what we gave them like a loan has been reimbursed. Now, concerning the institutional framework and operational mechanism of the revolving fund, to the left of the screen, you see that we obtain resources from the World Bank, either that are lodged in an account, a designated account. And from that designated account, we are able to pay for the connections that ENEO, who is the utility operator in Cameroon, has realized using their subcontractors. And the subcontractors are not just to realize the connections, they also collect data from the houses. That means instead of ENEO to wait for the houses to come towards them to request for connections, they go towards the houses to propose the facilities that the revolving fund is offering. And so when they realize the connections, ENEO request for reception, and we have a commission that goes to the field to verify whether effectively the connections were done. And that is done in two phases. The first one is the evidence that the connection was done. That means the identity card of the person who benefits from the connection, his cost, his estimate that he himself has accepted and signed, proof that he has paid the 1,000 francs needed to belong to the revolving fund, and the location of his house so that we can go to that house without necessarily passing through ENEO. When that is done, it gives us the leeway to pay for the connection to ENEO. On this slide, we are showing the road, the pathway that perhaps follow to connect a given house. That means we go to them to obtain their data. Are they interested in being connected? That's prospecting and collecting. After, if he accepts, we do an estimate for the equipment necessary to connect his house. If he accepts, he signs. If he signs and pays the advance, that advance should be at least 10% of the total cost. From 10% to 100%, the new connection is done. When the new connection is done by ENEO or the subcontractors of ENEO, they present to us the evidence that it has been done. If we verify and it is okay, we do the reception and we pay ENEO for that. When we pay ENEO, ENEO's role now is to collect the loan that we have given to the customer at the seat position, and then when they do the collection, they send it back to us. The 7th, the 8th, and the 9th stage is for ENEO to store the accounting documents that prove that the house was connected, the bill has been paid, and these accounting documents are supposed to be stored by ENEO for 10 years. After the house must have paid in all the loan, we consider that that customer has been closed at the 10th stage. Yeah, thank you for giving me the floor. I think the next Mr. Nash.
Thank you, Mr. Fo, for that comprehensive overview. I would like to now turn to Nash and Lawrence to talk about the lessons learned from the implementation of the Revolving Fund. Nash, let's start with you. Over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dia. Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. So there are two key lessons that we want to share with everyone. These are the key lessons or factors that has contributed to the success story that we are sharing with you today. The first one is that the project design and implementation has benefited a lot of flexibility. And the second one is that early, wholesome, and then continuous engagement with stakeholders is very, very important. Talking about flexibility, first of all, the project was designed such a way that there was a pilot phase. And from this pilot phase, the project could learn from all the challenges that could be harboring the success of this intervention, because the context in Cameroon is very different from the one we have in Côte d'Ivoire and other countries. So it's very important that the team will learn from this and adjust as it goes on. So you will notice that for this project, initially we're targeting only 15 towns, but then finally we're targeting almost everywhere in Cameroon, whether it's cosmopolitan or rural or urban area, right? Then also we had to do a lot of adjustment to the financial mechanism available for this intervention. In Cameroon, usually ENEO will take care of the cost of the meter and then accessories, while the client will take care of the whether poles or cable whatever is needed for the connections. So the bank will provide financing to support AER, to support the clients to pay for this, whilst ENEO will pay for the meters. Now here comes the crisis. ENEO hasn't got the money to procure a lot of meters to meet the demand for this intervention. So the bank had to help with the client to adjust that the project does not only finance the connection fees, but also to help ENEO to procure meters and staff to meet the demand. And you will notice that in this project, there have been a lot of amendments, right? Either have to do with either establishing a convention, changing how the project verification is done, whether it has to be financing. So it's been extremely important for the bank to keep on with the project and how many targets that we can reach. That also meant that initial targets of 163,000 had to be changed to 40,000, and then we are going for it. So if the bank cannot be very flexible with changing these indicators of the client, I think that we will not be discussing this success story that today we're all happy to share with you. So I think the first thing to take home is that it's extremely important to be flexible when you are implementing such interventions. Don't say, okay, this is what we wrote in the past, this is what we're in the agreement, so we cannot change it, we cannot adapt. It is extremely important to be flexible, focus on the key objectives, see how you can adapt to achieve those. Now, the second lesson, can we go to the next slide? Okay, we're already there, right? It is extremely, no, go back. It's extremely important to have early engagement, okay? It's extremely important to have early engagement. Make sure that that engagement is wholesome, that everybody is brought to the table, and make sure that you keep those engagements active, continuous. Now, what we learned, for example, in this project is that due to the lack of engagement with the tax office, there was a year delay on this project, and the project could have even failed. Why? Because ENEO is a commercial entity, right? They're supposed to register every contract that they have or every activity that they're implementing. But this is not something that happens in ENEO income, right? It's a social intervention. And my understanding was that there was a lot of thought and back on this issue, okay? And we already arrived at this point because there was some intervention, and once again, there was some, what do you call it, flexibility. But if that earlier engagement was done, we would have lost 1 year of implementation on the project. Then also engaging even with the households themselves, engaging people in ENEO, in the ministry. Because my understanding is that early on the project, the ministry wanted to leverage on young people who have finished university to help implement this project, but finally realized, okay, these people are not the right people who are qualified to do this job, okay? So it means that making sure the communication channels are open is extremely important. You have to make sure that there's transparency at the table. So for example, what we realized was that we're spending a lot of time doing these verifications. It will take 4 months just for ENEO to get their money. And then when we finally brought everyone to the table, ENEO, the owners engineer, perhaps the World Bank, we realized that this process could be shortened from 4 months to just about a month and over, right? So it means that having everybody at the same table, speaking the same language, having transparency, it is extremely important. Then also, when they engage with people who actually wanted the connection, realize it's not everybody who wants to be pre-financed. Most of them had the money to pay themselves, right? So that engagement helped to understand, okay, people are not willing to pay from buying credit, but they have the money to advance, and some of them willing to pay. So what we realized at this project, about 90% of payments have already been done, okay, without resorting to people buying credit for collecting the money, right? So in a summary, we say, make sure that you bring everybody on the table, engage almost everybody you identify as a stakeholder early in the project and continuously in the project. And whilst completing the project, try to be very flexible, engage your clients, and make sure they make necessary adjustments for the project to advance. Thank you very much. I'll stop over here. What will you?
Thank you very much, Nash. Lawrence, over to you.
Thank you, Nash. Thank you, Dia. Next slide, please. Okay. Thank you. So as a team member on the ground, and also we are moving forward, we scaling up the revolving fund outcomes, giving more electricity access to household. We believe that it's really important to focus on a key action that will drive sustainable impact for not only for
today beneficiary, but also for the whole electrification agenda in Cameroon. So the team believe that these 4 actions, including a cross-team initiative, are the one that will deliver long-lasting impacts. So the first one is strengthening transmission and distribution infrastructure. So we can all agree that by bringing more households connected to the grid, it translates to more power flow through those transmission and distribution infrastructure. So if we are not sure that they are designed enough to transmit or to transit this additional power, we will have a problem. So during the implementation of these projects, we face some challenges. There are some areas that we witness some overloaded infrastructure, transformer and feeder, and it kind of slowed down our ambition to connect more households to the grid. So we believe that by investing in upstream networks, transmission and distribution, it will make sure that the new connected household will benefit from a reliable power supply. So, but investing in T&D infrastructure won't be enough. We also need to modernize the whole IT system and the prepaement infrastructure. So we need to develop IT networks and also digital solution to make sure that the processes are more transparent and they increase the efficiency of the operation. And that will require more collaboration with network operator to make sure that we have a sufficient network coverage even on those remote area. So a critical step, as mentioned by Mr. Fool, is the integration of ENEO system with the Compost system that actually will give more visibility on the reimbursement from the customer. We have some progress, but we still need to deploy the further stages of this infrastructure to make sure that we have this monitoring on the real-time basis. Next will be securing the supply chain of key materials to do the connection. So during the implementation of these projects, as Nash say, ENEO, due to financial constraint, has difficulty to supply circuit breaker, meters, and some connection accessories. That actually creates delays. So we had all the stakeholders have to sit down and find a mechanism, a financial mechanism to back the supply chain of this material on tracks. So concrete pole is also one of the key materials that we need to actually find a good supply chain plan, detailed supply chains to make sure that, you know, we have availability of these materials on site. We also need, because we are talking about the supply chain, we also need to make sure that the actual connection material codes regulated by the sector reflects the real cost. So we have an ongoing discussion with ENEO and ourselves. ENEO show evidence that based on the decision of the regulator in 2023 and the actual political and economic context, the costs need to be revised. So we have a positive feeling now that the cost will be revised and it will boost, you know, work on the ground. Another point, as you know, the revolving fund is mostly a grid-based connection. So the team believe that by also exploring off-grid connection, we will reach Mission 300 target more, efficiently. So the team actually is eager to leverage on the key lesson learned from the Gateway Fund in Malawi. It's an off-grid solar fund that actually give access to 1.2 million of people in rural area with the private sector. So we are trying to build a same context here with the private sector through active listening and effective responsiveness, and making sure that with the private sector alone, we can reach, those households through off-grid solution. Lastly, capacity building is at the heart of sustainable impacts. So we believe that, equipping all the stakeholders with transmission and distribution infrastructure management, also digital platform management, we will make sure that the benefit will go beyond the initial rollout. So all these actions, some of them have been addressed by ongoing projects, such as the P4R. The P4R is addressing some of the transmission and distribution upgrade issues that actually allowed the connection of more households as well as industrial. In the pipeline in Cameroon, we also have additional financing of the P4R and also the national MPA that actually will double the effort in strengthening the transmission and the distribution network. Same for the modernization of IT system and securing the supply chain of key material. For off-grid solution, actually in the ongoing MPA, the MPA in preparation, we earmarked some allocated budget to deploy these off-grid solar funds. So, in a nutshell, we believe that by strengthening the transmission and distribution network, modernizing the IT system, securing the supply chain of key material, and expanding off-grid connection, we will lay the groundwork to improve the reliability of power supply, to improve transparency of pavement, to increase the effectiveness of some services and broader access to all. And that will also allow us to transform life of millions of Cameroonians here in the country. So thank you. That's what we wanted to share in terms of scaling up the revolving fund outcomes.
Thank you, Nash and Lawrence, for sharing these important points. We will now move into our panel discussion to further explore some of these issues raised during the presentation. And I would like to direct the first question to Mr. Rodolphe Bimbe. Can you tell us a little bit about the key challenges you encountered and the impact of the revolving fund on ENEO's growth strategy? Mr. Bimbe, over to you.
Thank you very much, dear distinguished audience. Good afternoon. And we, first of all, be very thankful to the head of state, His Excellency Mr. Pobia, for his vision for increasing access to electricity to Cameroonian, and all the ministry and government that Mr. Full talked about, and electrification, rural agencies, the unit coordination led by Mr. Full, and the whole World Bank team. Also my GM for trusting my team and I for giving us opportunity to lead this project, and the whole ENEO company, particularly regional director, because they are the one on field, and that produce all the results that you see. The last but not the least, it will be my lovely Perez team, dream team, made a young, talented, and really, really motivated people. We can see that in the result. So, what we can keep in mind after this presentation is this special Perez pathway, where we are driving to push Cameroon electrification. And you can see that at some point you have a curve, and when you have curve, you have to slow down. You have to adapt the speed to the curve and the road constraint. And it's at that point where we rely on a strong stakeholder mobilization. I think that everybody talk about that. By powering an inclusive interaction approach with a clear, flexible, and agile leadership, through thoughtful collaboration and strengthened partnership. So in order to align anytime our priorities with strong decision making, And at the end of the day, we translate the vision of the head of state in the meaningful outcome, which means lightening lives of many Cameroonians. And ENEO 100% played its role, being extremely collaborative and I think contributor and solution provider. The next challenge that we talk about, and I will just like Mr. Kofi to remind the hard questions for me. I think I've been appointed on the 4th of September, and the meeting was the next day. And they asked 2 questions. Mr. Mbimbe, we are the 5th of September with 0 connection, and we have a target of 1,600 by 13th of June. How are you going to make that when I know that customer can wait for months, sometimes years, to have one single connection? And how will ENEO, with is difficult that we all knew, will secure the money of payers and guarantee transparency and fund reimbursement? I told Mr. Kofi we will make it even more. So we launched the project on 10th of October, almost with 2 years delay. And Mr. Kofi asked again, it seemed to be simple, but why we didn't make it before? So we have an expression in our country where we say, avant c'était avant, meaning that what happened before, it's what happened before. Now we have to move forward and focus on the objectives. And if you see the point number 4, is a kind of gate, because if you not cross this gate, the project will not continue. And at that point, the owner engineer has to provide us with the certification of evidence conformity. Without this certification, we cannot move forward and we will not get paid for the job that we did. And sometimes I used to tell my friend, the Raf who is there, that money is the lifeblood of war, but money also fuel the war of nerves. So from dark, with people without light after 2 years, to light, where we have 1.6 million people lightning, I think that today we are sharing how we proceed to make it. And ENEO plays role, put on the table its competencies, and build trust and transparency around what it did. We cannot talk about all of this without talking about the challenge of having a viable financial electrical sector. I'm proud that Lawrence covered it in his presentation for scaling up, and this is something very, very important, and upcoming project will for sure help to make it happen. But when it's not the case, it's important to find some mitigation measure to ensure that the project can continue. And to complete your presentation, the regulator has just signed a decision on 11th of December, just a few days before, and there's a significant improvement on the cost of connection. And this is still part of stakeholder management discussion and sitting around the table. The last thing I would like to talk is that we can't do all of this with people. And the challenge is to harmonize all those practices, all those procedures, all those processes all around our 9 regions with challenges that you cannot imagine. So we have started by providing the job description with clear role and responsibility of all our teammates. And we made a regional tour from January to March 2003, and we have plus 25 meetings in all our region, in localities, to explain what the project is, what we change in our way of working, and make sure that we organize hands-on training for people to practice what we are teaching to them. Then we continue with all interaction management. We have at the beginning daily meeting with all the regions. We move to weekly meeting, and today we have monthly meeting. But in case of any emergency or crisis, we sit together, we tackle the crisis, and then we go back to business as usual. So today we are managing the project from end to end in all regions exactly on the same way. The last but not the least, we have many connections. We are proud of it, but on the distribution network, the increase of connection decreases the quality of service, and our transformers that are already overloaded, we are losing them. So with 25 years of late on investment is a huge challenge, and we really look forward for P4R and Parsec and all those projects to come with investments for distribution network and IT network to be able to pursue the project that we are conducting right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bimbe. Mr. Full, I would like to turn to you now. Could you tell us about the process behind the government buy-in and the key challenges from the government side?
Thank you, dear. I must say that since 2018, at the inception of the project, the Minister of Water and Energy, who is the project owner, took a decision to bring in all the stakeholders that will participate in the project. That is the first decision, that they should participate in all the working groups, all the meetings that we are planning concerning the project. When the financial documents were signed, each stakeholder, all administrations, in each administration concerned, there were the minister to identify focal points who are like relays for the decisions that are taken in meetings. That means it is not the coordinator or the management unit, the implementation unit that goes to the administration. The relay person goes straight to the administration and tell them the emergency of the decision, how we are going to implement it. The third point is sensitizing the stakeholders on the field. From the beginning of the revolving fund, the minister chose 15 towns where it should be implemented. When we started and we presented the results to him, he said, no, why not scale it up to all the 9 electrical regions of Cameroon? So we put in place a team to go from region to region to contact the administrative authorities, the traditional authorities, and the population to tell them that we have a facility that permits them to have electricity without necessarily spending much, just paying the fraction of it, and then you pay the remaining installmentally. So Cameroon is divided into 10 regions, 58 divisions, and 300 and something subdivisions. This team went to all these administrative areas and did their job. And the final one, the fourth one, we put in place a small video of less than 2 minutes that we advertise on the Cameroon radio and television channels, informing the population that there is a facility that permits people to have access to electricity at a low cost from the beginning. And I must tell you that that advert brought in so many customers that, as I told you from the beginning, today we are 322,000 connections, but there are more than 100,000 houses waiting to be connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Full. Shall we play the video?
Under the leadership of the head of state, His Excellency Paul Biya, the government of Cameroon, in partnership with the World Bank, within the framework of the implementation of the Rural Electricity Access Project, PERAS, for which the Ministry of Water Resources and Energy is the project owner, and the Rural Electrification Agency is the delegated project owner, is launching a nationwide campaign to connection houses to the electricity national grid through the Revolving Fund. For every household seeking to have an electricity connection quickly, there exists a rapid, efficient and affordable solution adapted for all categories of budgets of the household. Regardless of whether you live in an urban, semi-urban or rural area, you are eligible if your house is situated less than 100 meters from the national low-voltage network. Voluntarily subscribe to the Revolving Fund and provide the required documents. You may not need to go to ENEO office. ENEO staffs deployed nationwide are helping households to compile their files. Be careful! All fees are paid only at ENEO branch offices, and acknowledgement receipts corresponding to the amount paid issued immediately. For further information, please contact either your nearest ENEO branch office, AER headquarters, or PERAS management unit. For any complaints, call the toll-free number 8566. Subscribing to the Revolving Fund means immediate access to electricity and a brighter future for your family. The Revolving Fund for Electricity Connections, an innovation of the Government of Cameroon.
Thank you very much. Next, let's hear from Alassane and Komenan, who led the preparation and implementation of the project in the early days. Alassane, Komenan, could you walk us through the process of the design of the Revolving Fund and what the early engagement looked like with our clients? Let's start with Alassane and then we'll hear from Komenan. Alassane, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dina. And I would like at the onset of this discussion to congratulate the team. I'm talking about Nash and his team and Komenen and all the IOR and the energy sector colleagues in Cameroon for these successful results on PERAS. I believe that on the onset of the design of this project, it was a very collaborative and iterative process that also begin on Cameroon's specificity, especially on the challenges highlighted by the Rural Electrification Master Plan that was assisted by World Bank and many colleagues around the table online who was part of the process as well. So they also are really great person that contributed to. So I think the only diagnostic phase of this project, which is PERAS, because PERAS is the whole project and the Revolving Fund is just a component of this project, was the late 2017 and early 2018. The process started with our team's assessment and also the Cameroon's Rural Electrification Master Plan, and also lesson learned from the last project, because PERAS was a follow-up project of another access project. I think the critical point was the identification of the fact that there are some disconnect, we may say, between the electricity coverage rates, which is very, very good at the time, more than 75 or 78% in the country, which is very important for in Africa, and the apparent reasonable and the electricity access rate, which is household with actual connections, that remained very low. So this gap was practically pronounced in the north and also between urban and rural areas. So which align perfectly also what we consider the country partnership framework, which focus on tackling the north and south disparities. And I think the client engagement and institution buy-in was very, I can say, very great, because our engagement begin at a high level where the country director engage with the MINE and the MINE part, and we work through the engagement of the World Bank in the energy sector. I think Cameroon is one of the the least countries where our engagement span from generation to connection side in Cameroon. We worked, I think, closely with the MINE and the MINE part, which is Cameroons know the two big ministers in charge of the resources and also the electric sector, which championed the project from the onset. The commitment was also formalized by when the minister of the MINE part requested a project preparation grant. This PERAS project also had a project preparation grant that helped us dealing with the preparation, and issued they also issued two ministerial decisions establishing a working group to prepare this PERAS. And this working group became somehow the consultation mechanism and include all the actors, MINEPAT, Ministry of Water, Rural Electrification Agency, Sonatrel, that I don't see here, but Sonatrel was part of the process because they were the one that implemented the project preparation grant from the transmission from project that I believe is all still ongoing. And also ENEO, which is the concessionary, and thanks to the intervention and the thing, because I remember a lot of discussions and also meeting with ENEO. The regulator was also part of the discussions on issues that was highlighted right here, which is how to have a least cost development in this area. And then come the last design file, that is mid-2008, where we really accelerate beyond the formal working group meetings. We conducted numerous bilateral sessions, particularly with ENEO management in Douala. These discussions were critical because we believe the team at that time that any revolving fund mechanism needed to be somehow operationally feasible for the concessionaire who would implement the connections. So throughout this process, for the affordability remained at the center of the decisions. And we know that Cameroon's Rural Electrification Master Plan, which the bank, I said, has voted, that infrastructure alone couldn't really close the access gap. We need to address the household level barriers. And the project was very quick at that time, I would say, because it just take 1 year. Around key milestone from concept in November 2027 to the board approval in December 2018. So these are the really key milestone. And the revolving fund, why? Because so these are the key milestone, and I can say the engagement with the country was great, and we have great team around IUR, MINE, MINEPAT, ENEO, and Sonatrel. I would add that really helped the onset of the rural electrification project PERAS. So maybe I will stop here on the question that you just said. What is the process of designing a revolving fund and early engagement? Just one point. I think we already take advantage of the Revolving Fund that was also implemented in Cote d'Ivoire. And we did a study tour there to see, and the study tour was really an important one to see in another country that has maybe different contexts, but can also be applied in Cameroon at that time. So thank you very much, Dia, and let's stop here for this.
Thank you, Alassane. Komenan, would you like to come in?
Yeah, thanks, Dia. First of all, I would like to recognize all the team members that used to work on this project from the beginning, Alassane and the team who participated in the design. I came later in 2020 to start the actual implementation of the project. I spent 4 years with the teams there, and I was quoted by Mr. Bimbe when he was presented the challenges from ENEO. And I could say that the team has been great in terms of collaboration between the World Bank, AER, the government, the whole team of the government, and someone maybe that they didn't mention here, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Planning. They were also part of the system. We had a long discussions with them to make sure that we have enough flexibility in the project to move forward. Initially, it was not given. We faced a lot of challenges, but as colleagues mentioned in the lesson learned, flexibility was key. And each time that we face a rock, we needed to reflect and solve or find a solution to move forward. So this flexibility is something that I would like also to highlight beyond what colleagues have already expressed. And then one other thing that I would like to mention is that most of the time when we have this kind of design, we want things to be perfect before we commence the implementation. I believe from this experience that we don't need to have, let's say, things very perfect. Perfection is not in this world, as people say. So we should start, and as we go, we implement, we adjust, and we move, focusing on the final objective that we had set at the beginning. So I would like to stop here and once again congratulate the team for the huge achievement that they just showed from October 2020 to now. I think they did a great job, so kudos to the teams. Over.
Thank you, Komenan, and thank you for that engaging discussion. We will now turn to questions from the audience. I see one question in the chat. Nash, I believe it's directed to you. What specific changes made it possible to reduce the verification timeline from over 120 days to 60 days? Nash, could you come in?
Yes. Oh, what? Yeah. Thank you. What made the reduction is that we understood what is supposed to be done between the implementation unit and ENEO. We understood how ENEO presented the evidence, and since we understood it, it was easier for us to do the verification. From the beginning, the communication was not very good because ENEO had their way of doing it, and each region had their way of presenting the evidence. So from trainings that Mr. Mbibe talked about, we harmonized the way it was done on the side of ENEO, and on our side, we improved on the way of verification. And I will still point out too that the honors engineer played a very essential role because he came in late, but with a good and experienced team that helped us to reduce that time. Maybe Mr. Mbibe. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mbibe, I would actually like to turn back to you here. Could you elaborate more on the impact of the revolving fund on ENEO's growth strategy?
Yes. First of all, our way of innovating is not about adding more processes, but about designing an ecosystem, a working environment where the right decision is easy to take and at the right time. So ENEO, basically, we focus on our customer, who are the reason of our existence, and we have to provide them good quality of technical service, commercial service. And at the end of the day, we have the cash in the metals, and today we have it only one because we changed the specification of the metal with the proposal of my colleague Anselm, and we have one meter that can be switched to postpaid or to prepaid with only one manufacturer code. So it's more easier today to manage our stock and to adapt the meter that we're installing to the network constraint. If you look at the picture that is there, you will see that we significantly improve in accuracy of our quotation due to the prospection and collection, where they come out with accurate information. We talk about the installment. We are able to track meters of Paras meters installed. I think we have 98% today. We know where those meters are. We are able to provide evidence for documentation for almost 95%. And the last challenge that we have done, and that will improve significantly the way we conduct the business, at least for customer management, we are moving from management of 30 million of sheet of paper manually to the IDP, Independent Document Processing, because we are currently implementing the document management system, and this will help us to get to another level. We have 317 gigawatts of a token bought by client, which is almost 26 billion francs CFA. So there is a huge impact, but still there are a lot of things to do for scaling up, and we will go further than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mbibe. I see that we have almost 90 people connected, so thank you everyone for joining. Since we're also coming up on time, maybe I will ask a final question to all the speakers. Drawing on the lessons learned so far, could each of you share one key recommendation from your respective perspectives, from ENEO, from the government side, and from the World Bank, that you would like to leave with the audience? Please keep your responses short. Mr. Mbibe, let's hear from you first.
The main lessons here is working together as a team to achieve the project goals, and working with patriotism to achieve important projects for Cameroonian and to improve life for Cameroonian. I think that this is one important thing, and to show that Cameroonian are able to conduct projects in their country, and we can see the result and have them for a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Full?
Yeah, thank you once more for giving me the floor. The main lesson I've learned is that when you have a team and you are able to motivate that team and the team is engaged, we can obtain whatever results we fix for the team or for the country. Because by December 2022, nobody could believe that perhaps can do this type of job that we have done. So it is through motivation, it is through sitting around the same table and discussing and finding solutions to ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From the World Bank side, Alassane, Komena, Nash, and Lawrence, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, thank you very much. I do believe that high-level political commitment is important for this kind of innovative approach for any engagement for access. So, and we have seen that through the M300. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that this was a very early political engagement of the government by having on board MINEPAT and the MINET together. Leading such type of project in the energy sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Alassane. Anyone else would like to chime in? Yes, please come in, Nash.
My comment would be on the last thing that Ms. Yofo said, that it is really important that we always try and sit around the table to talk. You know, I think that's one of the key things that have driven the success that we have of this. That should continue. Let me stop here.
Could I come in?
Yeah,
yes, please.
Yeah, so my one recommendation would be, we know that we are designing a lot of access projects all over the world. Please consider end user facility mechanism like the Revolving Fund when we are designing projects, and this is on the government side as well as the World Bank side. Please consider end user subsidies and other mechanisms like the Revolving Fund to get to the result that the Cameroonians has shared today. Thank you.
So from my side here, one last point is all the stakeholders need to keep in mind the final outcome. Even though we don't have a specific detailed design, it doesn't have to stop us, you know, to move forward. Let's move together, work together, find solutions together by keeping the end goal in mind. We can achieve result as the revolving fund show us that, you know, we can have a good project, even though in the detail, in the design, we didn't have all the information. We gathered them while we were implementing the projects. So this is the last point I wanted to share with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, team. G, let me hand it over to you now. Would you like to provide any concluding remarks?
Yeah, thank you very much. And also, this is really a wonderful webinar where different parties share the experience from different angles. So finally, I also learned a great lot from here when I see the challenges faced in Africa region, but even across the world. Revolving fund should be considered on both grid side and off-grid side when the World Bank and also government designed the rural electrification program. This is a good example of how the revolving fund could help accelerate, the Mission 300 and the electricity access agenda in different countries. This also records my experience 20 years ago in Laos and Cambodia, where we have achieved the universal access. But the access connection charges by household is one of the key barriers where when you bring electricity to Laos, to Cambodia, to a village, only around 50–60% can afford to upfront charges of $50 to $100 at that time. Like in Myanmar, it's the same. Then with this government and World Bank support on financing upfront connection cost, immediately the access rate could jump from the initial connection from around 50–60% to 90%. So this is today again, I see a lot of echo here in Cameroon, which echoes my experience even 20 years ago in East Asia when we do the electrification program. So the key is here, and I will encourage all the participants, World Bank colleagues, right? consider how to scale up this kind of innovative financing mechanism in our rural electrification access project design down the road and in the future. Also on the off-grid side, right? One experience is really how you use a rural electrification fund to provide loans and financing support to private sector developers of mini-grid so that they can have access to this fund for relatively availability and the cheaper financing to connect more people on the mini-grid side. On the grid side, there is so much good experience here today, right? But I have to encourage the team, as mentioned earlier by Lawrence, right? The next step is scale up the grid side, but also consider how to bring this experience into Africa side, learning experience from other countries, like Cambodia. They have used the Rural Electrification Fund, which we created, right? Support the government created, as a mechanism for loans to private sector developers on mini grids, which help greatly achieve universal access in the country. Today it's 100% electrified, right? Where it's still a poor country, relatively speaking, in Asia region. So again, I would like to take this opportunity to express our great appreciation to all the speakers and presenters and the participants, right, for sharing this knowledge and experience, and also to ESMAP for providing critical support of Electrify Africa with financial resources as well as technical expertise, platform for knowledge exchange towards Mission 300. So thank you all for participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay, and thank you again to everyone who joined us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.